Una no see una wey be politician, eh? Mona mind the way una take dey use this word. We no be the same at all. Mona no dey use the word we. Mona dey use una. Una go say, we the politicians. Don't come and tell us we. Because ever since I was born as a Nigerian, I have never benefited anything. I'm not like your children. So this one you are completing 6-3. I don't even know what is the meaning of 6-3 and what you are celebrating. I don't know. The Nigerians, most of you are the most useless people I've ever seen on earth. You people deserve nothing. You don't even understand the simple language of your rights. It is your right to benefit what your country has for you. No. Your country will not give you anything. You rather go and die in desert. Now, so God go till they punish all of you for this Independent Day. I beg, me una see this news. Me una understand the reason why they talk like this. What's the meaning of we? May we kill all of them?
Starting with you. Yes, we've been operating a monolithic economy for some time now. So what will it take to diversify Nigeria's economy in the true sense of the word? When observed closely, you find out that even in the midst of retrogression and depression, as it were, the banking sector seems to be the most favored regarding in terms of making profits and development, as it were. So what are we doing wrong here?
Thank you for having me again. I think we have to reflect on how we got to where we are today.
Yes.
And the truth is, if we don't get our politics right, the economy will not progress. Our politics is what has brought us to where we are. There was a country where things were going on well, but then we had this politics of bitterness among the politicians. And that actually brought the military into governance, because everything went haywire at a particular time. And people would blame the military for coming in, but there was no choice at that time. I was a young person in Nigeria, but I also could reflect what actually happened. There was something they call wet here, when they stop people on the road and they say the person ablaze and all that. So the military came in, and the military got also politicized, I would say. And of course, politics was taken into educational institutions. In those days, you had schools that were functioning very well, owned by missionaries, owned by community, and even private individuals. We took politics into our education. Those schools were forcibly taken over by government. They were grant-aided schools, and things were working very well. But then government, in its wisdom, decided to take everything that it could hardly be able. The schools that were being operated by government were not well funded, but those schools were grant-aided, and they were working, and they were efficient, and they were producing good persons. Government took it over. It's politics that went into that. Then you had the mass promotion attitude of government. You don't have to pass. You just have to spend 1 year in school, and then you move to the next one. So the sort of poor quality of education that we're having now actually had its origin from there. Then they now went into other institutions, like traditional institutions and all that. It's same politics. So, and then you have government inconsistency in policies. Government went into a lot of businesses, and those businesses were not functioning very well. It was everything about government. Today, you will talk about bad roads. We all know that you need money to maintain road. And different parts of the world, you have to tow a road so that users can pay some token to be able to maintain this road. It's so politics that made us to remove toll gates. People lost confidence in governance. People lost confidence in government. People who now can aspire to be in position of authority are people who have had some opportunities of either being in government or who had government patronage. And then we have them in politics, and we have them in leadership position. Of course, people who don't have the attitude of running a business and making profit may not be able to also govern well with the mindset of growth. So we are where we are today. So unless we get our politics right, we are not likely to make progress. And we have got into a situation where those in government today are there, they've spent so much money, they think they must get something out of it. It's now like an investment. So you are not likely to get good governance from somebody with that sort of mindset. And also the populace, the people also are not even looking for good governance, because that's why people will go to the house of a legislator and you think he's the one that's going to solve your economic problem. Yeah. He's supposed to do good laws, laws that will enable you to have good life. Yeah. But then today, what we expect is you want to have, you want government to take care of when your wife has just given birth, the man must provide money, your child is going to school. Instead of having good policies that will ensure that everybody has good life, when we went to school, government was giving textbooks and all that. That is not it. So the man who has put in money, and then he has to give money, the people too are expecting something back from government. It's all misplaced sense of entitlement. And then what you have today now is those who have not given appointments are even complaining that they have not been they have not been favored by government in power because they have worked for government. So the mindset is actually out of place. So unless we get our politics right, and then government comes with a lot of policies that are anti-business. Today you can do this, tomorrow it becomes a crime to do the same thing that you could do a few months down the line. You put your money in an investment today, all of a sudden government policy comes and makes you to be a poor person. So I think the bottom root, the cause, the foundation of our problem has to do with the bad politics that we are doing. And unless we do something about it, we are not likely to make progress. How we are going to do something, I don't know, unless there is this Damascus experience, because which Saul had. Because the people that are there, we can only place that they have Damascus experience for us to get something good out of them. I think that's our problem.
All right. Let's hope there is truly a Damascus experience. But let me turn my attention to you, Dr. Olagunju. People ask the million-dollar question when it comes to leadership. Is it a skill or a gift? Follow my line of thought here now. The reason why I ask that is this. We are being perceived in Africa as a nation that does not have the wherewithal to lead itself. That's the perception of the Europeans, that's the perception of the Americans. And it is very evident in the way they play geopolitics with Africa. And I asked Pa Adebajo a question about the paradox of plenty. Several African nations, including Nigeria, we have abundant natural resources, but we cannot see the evidence of these things in the populace, on our streets. Infrastructure is at its lowest ebb in Nigeria. Hence the question about leadership. Is it true that we are really the dark continent and we've not seen the light yet to be able to lead ourselves to a future or to a new frontier?
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity to come on this our program, and especially the question you asked. It's very true, very correct, what majority of people are saying about the ignorance with which you do things in Africa, especially when it comes to leadership. No, there's this common saying. You always hear people saying something like, oh, our problem in Africa is leadership, or our problem in Nigeria is leadership. And everybody keep on blaming one leader after the other. I mean, date back to about 40 years ago. You hear the same thing, another 5 years, another 4 years, and it's like deja vu. Then the question now is, how come it's only in Africa? We always say our problem is leadership. But when you think of countries at the other side of the continent, those people that refer to us, like the question you asked, you hardly hear them say anything like, our problem is leadership. They mention individuals' name, whoever is in that position of authority, which point to something. And this study I started about 30 years ago. And it points to something like, leadership is wrongly defined or wrongly cultured in Africa, in the sense that we refer to leadership as a positional thing. We refer to leadership as somebody that occupies an office or is assigned a task. And because of that, we have been building on the wrong thing, on the wrong definition. It's like when you meet a doctor, no matter how much you cry, you yell, you say some things, they see some symptoms, they early rush into administering treatment. They want to do a little bit of diagnosis, check what is the origin of the problem. They may even give you a little palliative, or let me use the word palliative, something to remediate the immediate crisis. But they want to make sure they have comprehensive analysis, check the origin of the problem before they make prescription of the medication. And that's what I'm trying to liken our leadership approach to. Is that we keep on saying our leadership is problem. What is even the origin? And that's where the challenge is. We wrongly define leadership in Africa. In the other part of the world, the climb, where things appear to be working better than us, and where it's like they jeer at us as in, oh, look at the way they are doing it in Africa. Why is it that they are getting it right relative to us? And this is where the right understanding of leadership comes in. And coming on a program like this is to make sure we have more people to join in doing the right thing. So the question is, what is leadership? Leadership is not what we refer to most of the time. The person in position of authority, wearing agbada or wearing a suit like me, or wearing the Nigerian tag, all about, I'm in Nigeria. That really is not the leadership.
And what is leadership?
Leadership is, oh wow, I love that. Thank you, sir. Leadership is what we're supposed to be referring to, or what we normally refer to today as followership. Leadership is when every individual has the right moral values, ethic, and the right thing developed in them in terms of conscience, compassion, being considerate, being compassionate, being honest, fairness, which really in the Western world, they focus on developing it in the average kid, average child before age 7.